Ternyata Soeharto yang undang Perdana Menteri Israel ke Jakarta. Terima kasih Anda masih setia bersama Dr. Moshe Yegar dan Fakta Israel. Saudara, berita ini mungkin Anda sudah tahu, tetapi yang Anda belum tahu, fakta di baliknya.
At a certain time when I was holding this post, we received from our embassy in Singapore, we received a request. They were approached by 6 Indonesian universities, including Islamic universities. I cannot tell you today because so many years that I forgot which universities they were, but I remember that 6 universities combined together and asked for an Israeli lecturer, expert on Islam, to come and talk at the Indonesian universities and explain Israel's position in the Arab-Israeli conflict.
Okay.
This request came to me, and as I was myself a graduate of the Islamic Studies Institute in Jerusalem, I happened to know all the professors and the doctors, and I had only to look for a suitable person who can go. The invitation including trips, they paid for him for a trip. The contact was all made in Singapore.
Okay.
From Indonesia, they got in touch, I don't know whom now, got in touch with our ambassador in Singapore, and he cabled to us and we cabled him back, and he got in touch with the people in Indonesia. I chose for this trip, I chose a professor, he's still alive, he's even younger than I am by 2 years. I passed already 92. I think that he is approaching 90 now. His name was Professor Moshe Maoz, and I called him by telephone and said, Moshe, I have something to talk to you and we cannot discuss it over the phone. You have to come. He came immediately to my office. I told him, we have a request from Indonesia for an Israeli scholar. And of all you and your friends that I know, I think you are most suitable for the job. He's a great expert on Arab countries.
Okay.
His specialty is Syria, modern Syria, but he knows the whole area. One thing I must tell you, I cannot guarantee your safety. We have no relation with Indonesia. We know very little about Indonesia, and I cannot tell you how serious are those people who invite you, and how will they treat you. I guess that if they invite you, they'll treat you kindly.
Yeah.
Are you ready to take the risk and go to Indonesia? We'll be happy if you go there. And we would like to hear your impressions when you come back. He is a courageous man. He was a colonel in the army. He is a courageous person. And he said, of course I'm going. I want to know something about Indonesia. After all, he was a Muslim scholar. I mean, a scholar of Islam.
Yeah.
And he went there, went from one university to another. His audience, the students and professors, maybe others also came there, enjoyed his lectures, and he went from one place to another. One thing he told me when he came back, he wrote a report. We classified it. It was top secret because of Indonesia. We didn't want people here, the general public or the press, to know that he was in Indonesia because it might have damaged future relations. And we didn't want to damage the chance that this academic context will develop. It did not develop, but we hope for. Now, he said that as far as he knows, he did not meet government officials. Maybe they were sitting in the audience, he said, in the crowd. This he doesn't know. But he was not invited for political talks with Indonesian officials, but he felt at ease, he felt very welcome wherever he went, and everyone knew that he was an Israeli. He was treated very beautifully, he enjoyed it. His written report, which I read, of course, also, it must be kept in our archive somewhere, I don't know. It was filed, I guess. Was also very positive, but there was no development, no continuation. At that time, more or less, I reached the age of 65 and I had to retire. And I stopped taking interest in daily contacts with Indonesia, only what I read in the media. And that was a time when our prime minister of those days, Yitzhak Rabin, had a tour of Asian countries, and Indonesia invited him to come.
Really?
Yeah, there were at that time protests in Indonesia against a visit of an Israeli prime minister. I can't tell you the name, but I think it was the end of the century, before the year 2000, before, I think, but I'm not sure. And my age, I wouldn't like to rely on my memory, because I'm sure that I don't remember exactly things as they happened. What I do remember, that after visiting Singapore, he flew to Jakarta, met for political talks with President Soeharto. He was also very well received, but Soeharto told him that, I mean, the part that became public, I don't really know all the details of the conversations because they were kept secret. Israeli reports of this meeting I did not read because I was not in the government at that time. So what reached and leaked to the press, this is what I know. Soeharto explained to him that while Indonesia is not hostile to Israel, relations are impossible because of the Palestinian issue. As long as you, Israel, do not solve the Palestinian issue, we are a Muslim country, Indonesia, and we must respect Muslim solidarity. Now, I know that what Rabin answered, the usual answer, the Palestinian problem is not our creation. It was created by the Arabs who wanted to destroy Israel. They failed. They declared war on us, and they lost. Every war they declared, they lost. They continue with terror, which is a small war. Acts of terror are a nuisance, but they are not strong enough reason to declare war. And Israel by herself will not declare war on the Arabs. But if the Arabs attack us, we'll respond and they will suffer the consequences, that's all. That's what Rabin answered as part, as I know from publications. What else they discussed? After all, they met and talked for many hours, so I guess they covered many other issues. As far as I know, to this day, there are all kinds of relations between Indonesia and Israel, but both countries keep it secret. They know that publicity will damage it. If it is known that Israel is selling or buying from Indonesia item A or B or C, the Arabs will start screaming and will cause inconveniency to the Indonesian government. They don't want to be bombarded every day by Arab ambassadors in Jakarta who come and protest. Why do you have such and such relations with Israel? But I think they exist. If is a Is there a way to discover what exactly exists? I can't tell you because I simply don't know. I'm not in the picture now. I believe that there are some relations in other areas, but I can't give you details. I don't know. Maybe when you move around in Israel and you meet people who are in active service in the government, in the foreign office, maybe they'll be able to tell you more. I guess that they will have to ask for permission to give you such information. But you may get it. Israel doesn't mind if the story is known or it's not known. Nobody will go in Jerusalem to the foreign office and protest why is Israel selling or buying from Indonesia.
Yeah, of course.
We are interested in normalization,
Yeah.
but it's not in our hands, it's in Indonesians. Now, in recent years, there was a certain increase in the number of Arab countries who established relations with Israel. In the Persian Gulf, the Emirates, Bahrain, Morocco. There is much movement, I know, between us and Sudan. Sudan also is interested. They are afraid. Egypt is not helpful. Egypt has relations with Israel, but they don't want other Arab countries to have relations with Israel. Egypt has a very strong influence in Sudan. So maybe the Sudanese are a little bit afraid. Morocco may bring relations between us and Mauritania, but not with Algeria or Tunisia, because relations between Morocco and these countries are not good. So there will be no positive influence from Morocco coming on Algeria, Libya, or Tunisia.
How about Oman, maybe?
Oman is on the list. I know that there are efforts in Oman and also in Saudi Arabia is very important. I'll tell you about Saudi Arabia immediately. And what's the name of the place where the football play?
Qatar?
Qatar. Qatar is hostile to Israel. And Qatar is a main source of support to the terrorist Arab countries, especially Hamas. They finance them, they provide for them all kinds of help, but still there are contacts. Qatari officials come to Israel. If they want to go to the Gaza Strip and we permit them, they must go only if Israel agrees. Otherwise, they may try to enter via Egypt, but we can stop it if we want. The government, I don't know why, but the government does not stop it. And they let Qatar money go into Gaza in huge sum of money.
Yeah, I know.
Great sum of money. Now, with Lebanon is a fiction, it's not a country. But we have contact with them because of gas which is found in the sea opposite their coast and our coast. So it led to negotiations between Lebanon and Israel to avoid war and shooting. It's better to live in peace and let them and let us exploit the gas. And this is the situation. Syria is not a country. Iraq is not a country. I mean, officially it exists, but they don't control.
No government.
They have no effective government, so there is nobody to talk to. In Iraq, there is an interesting phenomenon of the Kurdish independence or autonomy. With the Kurds, we have fantastic relations. We assisted them a great deal in the past. Now I am not sure. I simply don't know. But in the past, the Kurds received great help from Israel. Not only military help, they received here training facilities, weapons. It was flown, I think, because there is no common border. It was flown to them, as far as I know and as far as I read in publications that were permitted to appear. The Kurds are 40 million people. Not all of them are in Iraqi Kurdistan. Some are in the Russian Kurdistan, Iranian Kurdistan, and Syrian Kurdistan. They are divided between these four. But the biggest number of Kurds are in Iraqi Kurdistan, which really enjoy autonomy by all practical purposes. They have their own banks and their own economy and their own oil and their own army. By the way, women serve also in the Kurdish army. Many of them were trained here. What else do you have of Arab countries? Yeah, now the non-Arab Muslim countries, there we had a very small success. With Turkey we had bad relations, now they improved, and we have embassy there, they have embassy here. Malaysia became hostile after the Tunku passed away. He left the premiership. Malaysia became actively hostile to Israel. Indonesia is classified by us not as an active hostile, but passively hostile. At the UN, they will always vote against Israel, but this is because of the Arab and Muslim neighbors. They also don't want Arab ambassadors to come and protest every day. Why are you so friendly to Israel? They don't need it.
Terima kasih Anda masih mengikuti YouTube Fakta Israel. Jangan lupa subscribe, like, dan sebarluaskan link ini. Saudara, bagi Anda yang tertarik ke Holy Land, mari bergabung bersama Fakta Israel pada Desember 2023. Salam damai dari Fakta Israel.